really get Windows where we wanted to, we needed to store. We needed to figure out a way for people to purchase apps through an experience in Windows. This has taken us a while for it to get to where we wanted it. And we think we're pretty well ready. So you'll see that in Windows 8. You'll see a place where you can go to a marketplace and purchase applications. Reimagining browsing, IE10. We've kind of been on this crusade over the past several years, and it's kind of funny how browsers evolve. I think all the way back to like IE3, 4, 5, and we hung at 5 for a while, and went to 6, and then 7, 8, and now we're pretty rapidly. But there was this kind of thing where we started out with just a bare bones browser experience. And then we gradually added more and more, the capability for other companies to add more and more, until we reached this tipping point where people started saying, oh, it's too fat, it's too slow, there's too much stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, we started trending back down, where with IE10, particularly the Metro version of IE10, it's pretty much a wall-to-wall, HTML page with a drop-down to type in your address. I mean, it's about as bare bones as you can get. Understanding that people want to experience the full screen dimensions of their web page. And, and we see that 100 times. We saw the same thing as we began to build versions of Windows by Windows 2000. Everybody all of our test groups were telling us they wanted everything, including the kitchen sink, turned on when they got the computer, and we gave them that in Windows 2000, and then Melissa hit, and we thought, well, wait a second, maybe that wasn't the best idea. And so we started trending back down through security. So, like fashion, like everything else, there are trends in computing. And this is something that we work with, particularly with the browser, because people seem to be fairly attached to a given browser nowadays. Not sure why. I use them all and do a lot of comparison, but for some people are absolutely convinced that they're able to wring that last bit of performance out of one browser over another, which I don't really get, because my processor performs quick enough for me and it does what it wants. But anyway, at home and at work, yeah, Windows 8, again, it's all about blurring those lines between home and work. We're already blurring the lines. Windows 8 is just making it a little bit cleaner in the blurring. I'll let you figure out the math on that one later. But yeah, so with Windows 8, and we also have, there's a technology now that's, unfortunately, it's only available in the enterprise version called Windows To Go. Have any of you guys heard of this? Okay, at the enterprise level, you basically have a tool that lets you essentially build an operating system on a USB stick. Now, not a typical USB stick. It's effectively an SSD drive and a USB stick. But what it is a true operating system portability. So you take this stick, you go to your home computer, you plug it in, you boot to that stick, and you have your Windows 8 work environment, all your documents, your information, whatever. It's like a portable laptop without the laptop. So that's the kind of technology that we're developing in this, that will eventually grow, and we'll probably see that step down into later versions. But yeah, so we're doing a ton with Windows 8. A lot that is not necessarily known now, and that's the kind of thing where we realize that you can go and play with this experience, but not a lot of information has trickled out yet about what Windows 8 is all about. And you'll get that bits and pieces over the next several months as we march toward release date. But we also have a lot to offer in the way of business. So basically, a no-compromise business tablet. And what we mean by that is, I get it. An iPad is a great device. It really is. But you can't join it to a domain. You can't use group policy enforcement on it. You can't have all of your line of business apps running on it. That's fine. But again, the iPad was meant to be a consumer device. Steve Jobs' words, not mine. It was meant to be a consumer device. This is a work device. It's which you can manage through IT effectively and completely. As I mentioned, Windows To Go, you have direct access, so you can actually connect to corporate networks without a VPN client, mobile broadband, obviously, end-to-end security, trusted boot, a way of verifying the kernel and the entire boot process to ensure that there were no rootkits or malicious software installed. And also virtualization. Over the past several years, we've done huge amounts of work around virtualization. Our VDI experience, which will give you essentially a Windows virtualized experience with Arrow and all of the graphics turned on, etc. We've really come a long way in using virtualization. And the great experience across hardware. If you've played with a Windows 8 touch device, it's a very intuitive way to compute. Okay? It takes a little bit more getting used to when you're using a mouse and keyboard, I'll admit, but on a touch device, Windows 8 flows very easily. It's kind of hard to explain, but you just sort of instinctively figure it out. Along with that, we've optimized it so you get longer battery life. You still get good security. You've got lots of flexibility in form factors. And the fact that we now have a version that's built for ARM, you're going to see, tiered type of setup where you have the full-blown x86 version, you have the ARM version, and there are trade-offs for that, right? With the ARM version, you get instant on, you get super long battery life, but you don't get the full Windows experience because it's code that's not built for an x86 processor, it's built for ARM, so it behaves a little differently. Yeah, so to kind of echo that sentiment, we will have, and I think now we've kind of settled on calling like the base tablet Surface, which is the ARM base, and then Surface Pro. But please understand, the only tablets running Windows 8 are not just coming with Microsoft RAM. There will be a whole host of companies that are offering slates. And for those types of devices, you're going to see lots of interesting designs, form factors, screen sizes, etc. You'll also see some really interesting hybrids. One that comes to my mind, I don't know if you guys saw any news out of Computex, but ASUS showed one called the Tai Chi, which is a really innovative form factor that's if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to Bing it later because it's pretty impressive what it does. Yes, I said Bing. All right, going mobile. Going mobile is also important. One of the reasons we acquired Skype and we built out SkyDrive is because of being flexible and ensuring that you guys can operate mobily. And this is something that we've worked on mobile computing for a very, very long time. And the funny thing about it is a lot of this sometimes looks like overnight innovation, but it's like 10 years of effort to get to a particular point. And understanding what we're trying to do with these things is very, very important. So figuring out, again, you look at this and you think, okay, this could be personal, this could be business, this is business, broad range of devices for a broad range of uses. Again, it's that same blur, that consumerization of IT, where you use devices for personal life, you use it for professional life, you have flexibility across the various devices, and you have connectivity to the cloud. So again, that same blur. Honestly, our kids are going to grow up and become professionals in a world where they just really see no distinction. We have to be prepared for that, we have to accept it. It's like they want to compute, whether it's work or personal, on whatever device they have handy. They don't want to think about it. They're not going to think about it, they're just going to do it. So keeping that in mind and understanding where that's, where that's going, it's all the time ubiquitous computing. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, when you look at where we've come from, and when we were in high school, very different world, okay? Passing a note in class did not require a device that you recharge, right? It didn't. So that's something to think about. In fact, I actually read a report that said probably in another few years, they're going to phase out really teaching handwriting. I mean, you might still learn how to type letters or print letters with a pen and paper, but by and large, there's no more reason for cursive. Same reason several years ago, I think I was the last class where I had an algebra teacher that forced us to learn how to use a slide rule. I guess just in case the world supply of calculators magically died. But yeah, so things are shifting. Now, along with things are shifting, security and management. And security is one of those kind of long-term overnight successes for us. I remember back to the days of Windows XP, and then we made the transition to Windows Vista. And I know a lot of people weren't all that excited about Windows Vista. Okay? And a lot of people, I mean, to this day, Windows XP is the greatest operating system Microsoft has ever released. People that say that do not remember Windows XP before Service Pack 2. Sorry, I'm just saying it like it is. Not pretty and not secure. Okay? Now, we showed up with Windows Vista. It was slower. It broke a lot of applications. People were unhappy with it. No one ever, in any news article in print, knocked it for its security. You know, we took a lot of hits on the chin for everything people wanted it to be that it wasn't, but nobody was dinging us for security. We learned a lot from it. And we built it into all of our infrastructure products that you see moving forward. Another case of that, years and years ago, we had a product called Microsoft Bob. Product light years ahead of its time. I mean, seriously, think about it. If I gave Microsoft Bob to my mom today, she'd love it. She would, because she'd get it. Unfortunately, when it came out, everybody using computers really knew how to use computers. So it was kind of lost on that audience. But out of that came one gem of technology called wizards. And love them or hate them, everybody uses them every day. And that has dramatically simplified computing, especially in the server space. So again, as we look at security and management, over the course of the last 10 years, we've learned a lot about security. And honestly, we don't get banged up very often about security in the press. We don't. We figured it out. So when you look at our security management tools, you look at the System Center, you look at Intune, you look at Windows 8, what's coming, very tight, secure experience. And on top of that, tremendous depth of manageability. All of our software on the back end that's used to manage these devices, and even on